All right. Welcome, everybody. We are here with Ramon Chavez, a legend of the knife world.
How's it going, George? Good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So we've been carrying Chavez knives since long before I started at Blade HQ, and it's just such an honor to have you on because you've been around the block in the knife world. You were there when a lot of the big ideas were made. You make some of the best titanium frame locks in the world. It's exciting. And we got a lot of questions for you today. Before we jump into that, we have some in the comments already. Let's see. Somebody says, I saw Chavez fixed blades, so I have to watch. Yeah, I've been looking at these Chavez fixed blades, and I'm really enjoying what I see.
Yep.
Although this one doesn't look super Chavez. We'll talk about that in a minute, I think, though.
But it's definitely a Chaves.
It is a Chavez, you're right. Okay, We'll talk more in a minute. But yeah, that one's exciting. Let's see. I still own a few Chavez knives and I love them, but I just carry other stuff more because it's smaller size. But I'm a huge person in general, so that's my problem. See, I find value in carrying a big knife. That's one thing I've seen you make a lot of.
Yeah. To me, I have bigger hands too, so they just seem to fit better. Mm-hmm. So I generally make stuff that fits better in my hands.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of EDC trends as of late that are like trying to go smaller, thinner, lighter.
Yep.
But Chavez is like big knives for big hands and big jobs. And I appreciate that a lot. Okay. I still don't own any. Clavid IDK, why don't you own a Chavez knife yet?
Today might be your lucky day.
It might be. We're doing a giveaway today, actually.
Yep.
We're going to give away one of these. This is a revival of the Chaves Chub Slipper. And my goodness, I would just fidget with this thing.
Yeah, they're fun.
It's got a nice tactile click.
Yeah, I designed these, I think, 8 years ago, 8.5, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing them in a titanium frame, but these ones are aluminum, yeah?
Yeah. These will be part of our new line that's coming out pretty soon, the blue line. These will be offered at a pretty good price.
I like that. And I love how it still comes with the Chavez clip, the skull. And we're going to talk more about that in this video as well.
Yep.
Man, I'm really excited to jump into this. Okay, Redencion for the win. Love mine. Travasaurus Rex, he likes the Redencion. So the Redencion, I feel like is when I think of Chavez, I think of a Redencion. So is this one of your earlier designs or?
So yeah, Redencion is the first design I made for a folding knife. And that was in 2013.
Man, it's been 11 years now.
Yeah, 11 years been selling that knife.
It's a really cool one. Man, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Should we start asking the questions we have in here? Yeah. All right, we're jumping right in. So, Ramon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Not a lot to me, I guess. Just I like to make knives, and I like to work.
Yep. You're from New Mexico.
Yeah, from New Mexico, born and raised. Mm-hmm. Just a town south of Albuquerque called Belen.
Belen.
Yep, Belen, New Mexico, and
then recently you've moved up here to Utah.
Yeah, live here in Utah now. We started making, or getting ready to make the OTF, which is not permitted in New Mexico. So they are here, So now we have a shop here, and we're making all of our OTF stuff here.
Yep. And not
Pleasant
too far
Grove.
from Blade HQ, so we see each other quite often.
Yep.
And it's one of the greatest things. When Ramon comes to the office, he always makes sure to stop by, say hi, shake your hand. It's like your dad coming home and like, hey buddy, it's just a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me how you got started into knife making. What was it that brought you here?
So I always liked making stuff, and this is when I was younger. And just rifling through my dad's drawers and stuff like that, and I come across this knife, and I ask him what it is, and he said, "Oh, my brother made that for us a long time ago," and I think he said sometime in the 50s, so that puts it close to 70 years old.
Man.
So I'm like, well, heck, I'm gonna try to make me one of those tomorrow, and I did, and that was probably, I don't know, right around like 1992, 93.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm looking at this, and this has sort of a hidden tang and a very thin blade. It's like it's almost inspired by one of those old buck knives, maybe.
Yeah.
But your uncle did a good job.
I think he said he used to make them out of old hacksaw blades from the railroad. That's where he worked.
Really?
And then I worked at the railroad as well. So yeah, the hacksaw blades used to be bigger back for the rails. They're, I think 3 inches wide, something like that. And he would just get the old ones that weren't good anymore and make these.
Knives.
Yep.
So is that what your first knife was made out of?
No, I made it out of like a file or something, just something I found in my dad's shop.
Rifling around in your dad's drawer.
Yep. And it didn't come out good. I don't even have it anymore.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
But I feel like every boy has a good memory of rifling through his dad's drawer and finding some piece of mischief to get into.
Yep. But yeah, so that's where it started, finding that. And then it was just a hobby for years and years, make a couple a year here and there.
Yeah, but then eventually, it sounds like in the early 20-teens, you got into knife making, like production knife making, and turning Chaves knives into what it is today.
Yeah.
So what was the first Ramon Chavez knife?
So
Because we kind of talked about the,
that's
the
probably
file knife.
a hard question because I would just make stuff, if it looked good or whatever, and I'd just give it away or throw it away or lose it. And then in 2010, one of my buddies asked me to help him make a knife, and then he asked me to make him a knife, and that was the first one that I sold.
Dang.
And then that was in 2010, and then after that, just friends of friends started asking to buy them,
Okay.
and that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, and when you brought this one on as sort of an earlier piece, tell me about this one.
Yeah, so after my friend originally had asked me to help him make that knife and eventually sold him one, this was maybe like 2 or 3 knives after that, just messing around and trying to figure out, I guess, how to make a better one. So yeah, I came up with this. This is, I guess, 2010, so 14 years old.
Okay, and is this a G10 handle?
G10 handle, red liners, straggler pins, and I believe it's probably D2 still, maybe 1095.
Okay,
Yeah, it's been a while.
so
And I made that for my dad.
really?
Yeah. And then I just recently got it back when he passed away.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yep.
It's a lot of memories in this knife. So you said that you sort of were messing around, trying new things with this knife, but this is something I see here that I think tells me you may have been messing around, but there was a master in the making here. Because look at this G10 handle. You can see, let's see if I can catch it in the light there. You can see the grain of the G10 there, and it is perfectly book matched on the other side. Amateur knife makers can't do that, but Ramon Chavez can do that.
That was very amateur back then.
Yeah, but like that's impressive custom level work by any standard. And
Well,
the
thank
fact
you.
that you find this on the messing around knife, I think it's a really good segue into all the amazing things that you've done in the years since. And especially getting into the production world because you combined your custom making and those delicious compound grinds. I'm gonna pause for a minute. Ramon's compound grinds are so good. Something I love about your knives is oftentimes you'll do a pretty rough grind on it. It's like you can see the belt marks and everything.
Yep.
And let's see, where's the Redencion? Right here. So on the Redencion, you can see how you have the flat up here at the tip and then the deep hollow there. And because the grind marks are so bright, it just pops. It's like love me. I am the most delicious compound grind you've ever seen. And that's what I love so much.
Thanks.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I've seen that I really like about Chavez knives is they have a lot going on that just adds a lot of value to them. It is a usable knife, a design that I can really get behind, carry every single day, but it also is strikingly beautiful. But
Thank you.
What are some of the other things that make Chavez knives special?
I think what makes it more special to me is that the final customer actually makes it special to them. Because for me, they're just, I make them plain. That's what I like. I like simplicity. But then whenever they get in the other hands of, the final customer, they see other stuff in it and they just modify it. They make it their own, and some of them come out really great. So I think that's what makes my stuff special is that it's, I guess, just kind of like a blank slate for to make it even better if they can.
Take the knife on your own adventure.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and I know I've been a member of the Chaves Facebook group, by the way. By the way, you should all join that Facebook group. There's a lot of cool stuff there, and
Bunch of great people.
I've been very impressed with the broad range of engravings and anodizes and even crosshatch finishes on the clips. Like Chavez knives are it's like a fashion show in that group.
It is.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most special things about Chavez as well. So one of the things that Chavez is really known for in the knife world is the branding. You have the key logo that's on all the boxes, and of course, the iconic skull pocket clip. So tell me how we got to this key and skull look.
So that was probably when I was designing. I used to have a logo that was just said Belen, New Mexico on it, and it had a key ring with keys on it because Chavez in the original spelling means keys, which is Portuguese. And so there was just a bunch of key rings. And then when I started making the Redención, I switched up the logo to key only.
You can see the key. We'll not have to zoom in on it a little bit there, but there's a key engraved there.
So then I just wanted to make it, and I like skeleton keys, and I like skulls. So I put the skull as the turning point of the key, when that's derived from the place of the skull.
Golgotha in Jerusalem.
Yep. So you guys can look that up. And that's about it. The clip basically came from the logo, but obviously that wouldn't make a good clip. So I just kind of planed it up a little bit.
And gave it a very nice skull.
Yep.
And I think it's a really tasteful skull. Sometimes you see them and they're a little out there. You feel like it's a serial killer skull or whatever.
Yeah,
But
it's a little more low key.
It's low key. It doesn't scream, look at me, in the weirdest way possible. It screams, I have a
Chavez.
tasteful designer, and I have a Chavez in my pocket.
And that was the original idea, is that you could look across the room and see somebody that has a Chavez knives. I was only going to make 50 of them, because when I made the original Redención, I had 50 parts cut out. And I was just going to do 50 clips. And then it just caught on, and it stuck, so I kept it. And it's still here today.
Well, I love it. I'm here for it.
Thank you.
So we've talked quite a bit about the Redención, but let's talk about some of the other models in the lineup as well. So the first one I have here is the Scapegoat. So one thing I've noticed is, like you said, these are all kind of similar, but what was the thought process in making the Scapegoats lines and how they differ from the Redención?
So this one was actually started as a whole different design, and then I just messed it up and made it into this.
It was a happy accident.
Yeah, made it into this. I'm like, man, I really like that design because it really follows the line of Liberations with the back just cut off. Well, you can't see it that way.
That's interesting with the back cut off.
Yep. And then I just took the choil out. But yeah, it was just a mistake, and I ended up really liking the blade shape. I guess you see a bunch of broken blades that get fixed, and they kind of look like that. That's why that looks like that.
Then that's a good segue into Liberation.
Yep.
So the Liberation, I'd say, is the Redención and the Liberation are like brothers in my mind.
Yeah, a little more slender on the width, and just longer longer, thinner blade or slimmer blade.
A little slicier. And one thing I noticed about this one is we have a consistent flat grind across the front here.
Right.
So if you're somebody who likes a more consistent edge angle that doesn't maybe jump with the different grinds, then I think this would be the one. It's just such a usable knife.
Thank you.
Yep, and then we also have one, and I remember the next one's the RCK9, and I saw this one as a fixed blade the first time, but now
Yeah.
it's a folder.
So yeah, RCK9. I used to just name them like RCK1, 2, 3.
Ramon Chavez knife
Yeah.
one.
Yep, and that was the 9th fixed blade I had designed, back in 2010, and decided to make it into a fixed folder, and it's really close to the fixed blade dimensions, which is kind of hard to do, but it's really, really close.
Yeah, so one thing, I remember when these came in, I noticed it for the first time because I have a coworker named Jacob who is really persnickety about frame locks because something about his hand likes to develop a hot spot where the lock interfaces with the handle, but
Yep.
you wrap these up and around the pivot. It gives you just ever so slightly more comfort. Why doesn't everybody do that?
I don't know. It definitely hinders your design a little bit because it's easier to design stuff with your lock back further, in my opinion. So it does hinder that. Maybe that's why most people don't do it, but there is some guys out there that do it as well.
Well, they are the cream of the crop in the world of
And
frame locks, in my opinion.
It does work with that, so it gets rid of that hot spot.
Super comfortable to carry. Yep, and then the last of the Riot made ones here is the Sangre. And this one feels like the tactical Chavez to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, this one looks like it has a similar handle pattern to
Liberation.
as well.
That one had a little bit of a change to it, so it's basically exactly like the Liberation handle right now. It when the first iteration of it came out, I had this corner just cut off to where it followed the blade when it was closed. But the clip was really small, had a lot of back end of the knife hanging out of the pocket, so I just went back to a full Liberation style handle so I could get that clip back further up for a deeper carry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically a Liberation with
that
a warning
really
blade.
nice Warncliffe. Yep, and then, so one thing I will say is these Chavez knives have no expense spared. Like they are cream of the crop, full titanium, grade 5 titanium, a lot of milling, M390 blades. And because of that, they tend to command a bit of a loftier price point. Something you save up for.
Yep.
But we have a more budget-friendly line coming out, don't we?
Yep, really soon. It'll be called the Blue Line.
The blue line. And this one is a Redencion. This one's more in the 229 size. So here we have the Redencion Street. That's the smaller one. And here we have the blue line. And I believe we also have a street size in the blue line. Yeah, look at that. So what's the blade steel on these going to be?
So these are going to be LMAX.
LMAX.
Yep.
I like that. I really like LMAX.
Yep. LMAX, and we're keeping the price at about like an S35 steel price.
Okay, so maybe like the 150 range, somewhere in there?
Yeah, the bigger ones will be 170, I believe, for these. We're still working out pricing, but right around 170, 160 for the streets.
Okay.
And then down a little bit further too.
Yeah, and then of course still a Chavez skull pocket clip. And these ones have an external versus internal screw
Screws.
system. And we were talking a little before that. Tell me more about the internal external screws.
So when I came out with, when I came out with the external screws, is when I came out with the non-skull clip, and just for the ease of changing it out for the final cut for the final customer, just easy to change out. A lot of people don't like them, didn't like that, and I kind of don't either. I like the hidden screws, but now that we're coming out with the blue line, the titanium stuff that's going to be coming out, like the RCK9 and the Scapegoat, that's the RCK9 and Scapegoat, they all have hidden screws. So that'll happen on those. Still get this extra clip, and then on these, on the blue line stuff, you'll get the non-skull clip on the knife. And if you want to switch it out to the skull clip, you can.
I feel like if
Very
you get
easy.
a blue line, just switch it out to the skull clip. That way, everybody knows you're carrying a Chavez,
Yep.
which is quite the status symbol. Okay.
Yeah, these are cool too. With 'cause these will all be really nice high grade micarta black as the main. What they come with. We'll be offering scales, which I think there's been a couple questions about that.
Yeah, we put out a community post with some of you like, are you guys going to have replaceable scales for Chaves? And yes, we do.
Yep, we will start having scales for this, and they're super easy to change out. You take the scales off, take the clip off, and the whole knife stays together.
Okay.
So you just switch out the scale screws, that's it.
All right. And then it's going to have a bunch of different flavors of G10, micarta, maybe some metals.
G10, micarta. Right here we have a titanium scale.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
And copper for people who like 10 pounds in their pocket.
Yeah, because Chaves knives are already pretty big, and you slap copper scales on that, I mean, that right there has got to weigh 6 ounces alone, plus
it's a
the weight
lot.
of the knife.
But it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
And
then-
another cool thing too I didn't mention. So on the streets and the 229s, they come with a reversible backspacer.
Okay.
So like on this street, you see it. It's just basically facing in. Regular, that's how it'll come. And if you do want to attach a lanyard, you just take the frame screws out and flip the backspacer around, and you have a lanyard hole.
Okay, so you're telling me that these two both have the same backspacer part in them.
Correct.
Man, so if you like the lanyard hole, there it is.
Yeah.
But if you're like Nick Chaves, who doesn't like lanyard holes, just flip it in and then super clean.
Yep.
I like that. And then next up, we have the tack line, which I remember asking when we first got the tacks in what tack stood for, and I was told to just quote, pardon my French, tiny ass knife.
Yeah. Because I'm not used to knives that small. I'm making bigger ones.
Yeah,
So I'm
that's
like, I'm
like
going
a-
to call this tiny ass knife.
Maybe a 3.5, almost 4-finger knife on me, but with
Yep.
your big working hands,
Yeah.
might be a 3-finger knife.
Yeah, it's like 3 right at the end.
I love it.
A lot of people really like those. We discontinued the tie, like in this version for the tack, because it was a liner lock back then, but it was all titanium construction. So we discontinued that to make this in the blue line construction, since it's a similar construction.
Yeah, and I like it. And that LMAX blade steel, I think, is a really good call here.
Yeah.
It's going to give you a lot of similar performance to that M390. A very, very fine grain structure. Great edge retention. By no means a cheap steel.
No.
But having it affordable, like probably about 170, 160.
140, I believe, on these
140?
ones.
It's
Yep.
really not bad. It's a great knife, and I think it's a great price for it.
Thank you.
That's the tack lineup. And then the last collection is the Chubs.
Yep.
And so we'll start with the first of the bunch, which was the Slipper. This was just a utility knife, yeah?
Yeah, just a utility knife.
And this one's also coming in the blue line as well.
Correct. Yeah, these I designed, think I said earlier, eight to 9 years ago, when the, I guess, custom makers started making more utility blade stuff. And I just wanted something, back then most of them were real slim, more really pocket friendly, slim and slender. And I wanted something more I could hold on to and use it.
Yeah, if you're like cutting carpet or something,
Yeah.
those little tiny handles aren't going to do it. But this will do it, but then it collapses down to
Yeah,
a
and
very
it has
pocketable
the,
size.
when I first designed it, it was designed like at that first step or lock, like for cutting boxes and not getting into the contents. And then the next one was for the blade, full blade length. And then the third one was really just to be able to take the blade out. But you could still use it at that full length too.
Okay. Well, that's fun. And then eventually the Chub
Chub.
line made it to the Flipper,
Yep, chub flipper.
which seems to have a similar size to the tack, maybe just a little bit bigger, and it flips, which I really like. I think too often utility knives try to be like the Home Depot utility knife,
Yeah.
like gussied up, but like this is a knife that happens to take the utility blade.
Yep, and still the same lock. You just push in between the two gaps and the blade comes right out. That's the same
Okay.
same mechanism on all three chubs.
So you push in.
Yeah, right in between the two machine lines. You just push that far out.
Oh my goodness, that is so easy.
Yep.
And is that how it is on the OTFer as well?
Yep.
The OTF. Or tell us about that name a little bit.
So a couple of weeks ago, I put in my group, we have the Chub Slipper, we have the Chub Flipper, and now we have this OTF that needs, I think, a name that kind of rhymes like the rest. Mm-hmm. And somebody said on there, Chub OTFer, and I'm like, I think that's the one we're going to go with.
I love it. Yeah, so this one's a little extra special because this is the first USA-made production Chaves, yeah?
Yep.
Made right here in Pleasant Grove.
Right here, we did all the parts. Mm-hmm. It's been a journey, but
Like I'll
it
tell
turned
you,
out really worth it.
if any of you are ever wondering why OTFs get a little expensive, just go watch a company do all the research and development to make a good one. There is so much work involved.
It's a
Because
lot.
Everything has to fit together. Everything has to fit together in such a way that it'll slide easily and still consistently lock up. It has to be fidgety because you know people are going to be doing this all day.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So these ones have an aluminum handle, correct?
aluminum, and they are type 3 anodized, so hard anode.
Okay.
Versus except we did do a couple that were the type 2, which was the blues and the reds that we did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, type 2 is just a lot harder than, or type 3, sorry, a lot harder than the type 2.
Okay. And I really like how it has this sort of cross-hatched finish.
Yeah, we're doing that on some of them. We're doing some satin, like the clip side of this one.
Okay. And clip side on this guy. By the way, we pulled this one out of Ramon's pocket right before we got started today.
Yeah, that one's a little different.
And this one has an inlay, a natural micarta.
Cross cut, natural, bronze trigger.
That's a good looking one. Matches the blade.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one. That's a good segue into our next issue, which is not issue, but question.
Yeah.
What's the future of USA-made Chaves?
So mostly autos. I'm designing a couple more autos.
Okay.
Not chubs or not razor blades, regular blades. And we'll just get into that, and also some fixed blades. We'll be making fixed blades here shortly. At the beginning, we'll probably be just offering them on our website, not to retailers quite yet, until we build up the capacity of machines.
Yeah, and if you want an early crack at a lot of the new models, every year you do a group knife as well.
Yep.
The first time I saw these is somebody in the office had a group knife. And I'm like, wait, how did you get that? I only heard rumors. And he's like, oh, I'm in the Chaves group. And I've been in the Chaves group too. I guess I just wasn't paying attention. But
Yeah, and this was the first time I'd ever offered a brand new model to the group first. So that was kind of cool that they were able to get that before anybody else. Because other times it's more just of a special. We use red fat carbon lava flow as our group knife. So
kind of matches the black and the red of the brand itself.
Yep.
Yep. And that, I mean, so fixed blades and autos out of the United States of America. So if that's your jam, which it is my jam, I'll be picking up some Chaves there.
Got another cool U.S. made product coming out soon too, and that'll be not a collaboration. It'll be a co-brand with ProTech.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So we'll be coming out with a Redencion auto side opener pretty quick. That's gonna be fun.
That's going to be fun. That one's going to fly off the shelves. So I hope you guys are ready for that one.
I've wanted to do that one for years, for a while, for a long time.
Okay, so of all of your Chaves knives, of all the numerous designs that you've made, which one's been your favorite?
Probably this one here, the fixed blade, and I've said this before, and this one's called the Repercussion. This knife just,
It sings.
just sings to you. I freaking really like this knife.
See, I was holding it before, and I'll tell you what I like the most about it, is its handle.
Yep.
The handle, so when you choke up on this choil, you are locked in. If you want to go all the way up here for like more precise cutting, it's very well balanced, like right between your fingers, and that is because of how much meat is back here in the handle. But if you come back here, now it's really forward weighted for chopping. Like, It doesn't look like it, but I call this a bushcraft knife almost.
Yeah, kinda. It's a little bit more along the tactical lines,
Tactical survival, but it could.
but it is really made for, to me, anything you could put it to.
Yeah, and I love this grind. Tell me about the grind you do on this guy.
So this is just a flat grind. That's it. And well, actually, this one's a little bit more convex. I did this one for me, and and this one's a zero grind. So that edge is ground down to that, and then just a final stropping on it.
So probably paper thin, slices for days.
Yeah, and this is 3V. I like 3V. I make all my customs out of 3V. This thing is just like a crowbar. Yep.
That is such
Yeah, and
a
I'm,
cool
I'm
knife.
glad you noticed that because I didn't mention that to you about grabbing back on the handle. But that was the intention when I designed it, to have that as fully its own handle.
Yeah, and even
for
if
that
you've
type
got
of work.
big hands, I know
Yeah.
sometimes people are like, you say you can choke back on button, but the handle doesn't have enough distance back there. But
Yep, that one does.
Ramon's got you covered.
Yep, love that knife.
Okay, so of all the knives you've made, which one was the most challenging? Which one made you lose the most sleep?
It probably had to be the very first Redencion, very first folding knife, just because.
You cooked that up on your own, right?
Yeah, I've taught myself. I've had some help from some friends, later on, but up until 2013, I taught myself everything. Jason Stout helped me with doing a detent because 2013, that was the first time I made that folding knife. And I didn't know how to do that. So he helped me with that. But when I went home after my first blade show, and I just went walking around, I had to teach myself CAD, all the mechanics of it. So that was probably the hardest, just because I didn't know anything about folding knives.
Yeah, they're deceptively complicated. Like, you got to make sure everything is just right.
Yep, and the first one, I should have brought it down here today, but the first one I think is really crude. Just the proportions were off. So
But it folded and it
it
locked.
folded, it locked it, yeah, it locked out, and it was good.
I call it an absolute win.
Yep.
Well, I think that was awesome. So we have a few questions, by the way, from the group.
Okay.
By the way, if you have any, I'll check here. Ramon, any brass scales in the future?
So yeah, I just didn't bring them along with the copper. It'll be for the blue line, but we do have some brass scales for the blue line coming out.
Okay. Let's see. My favorite is the Liberation 229 drop point G10. If it was hollow ground, I'd buy it again.
I've done only a couple hollow grinds on those, and but that was on custom versions, not. But who knows? We might be able to do that
Yeah.
with that nice Tonto tip.
Okay, that'd be a lot of fun. The Tonto tips are great. I didn't grab a Tonto tip today from the one side. We probably have them in blue line.
Yeah, and I think those are hollow grind with a flat grind tip.
Tonto tips. Yes. I'm very excited about this blue line. I think everybody's gonna love it.
Me too. I've honestly, since I made my first folding knife, I really never wanted to sell like crazy expensive knives. I always wanted to be in this price point to where, you could just buy it, use it, trade it later on, lose a couple bucks on it.
Yeah.
So
A user
that's one of
knife,
my
not
yeah.
a safe queen.
Yep, that's one of my long-term dreams coming to fruition.
Well, I love it.
Yep.
So Joshua Lynch, how long till Chubb OTFs are hit retailers?
So we're working on them as we speak. We're working on them right now.
Machines are running.
Machines are running.
People are cutting them out. And I want to say we've seen a few at Blade HQ. Maybe
So
just a
we
couple.
took some to Blade, and the retailers that asked for them at Blade, they were able to get 2. So you've only had 2.
We had 2. They were joyful and glorious moments, but we had them and now they're gone.
So I'm pretty sure next month, what is it? We're July now, August. We should be shipping out to retailers.
All right, so if you want one sooner than that, you can head over to Chaves website and pick one up there. But we should be getting them at Blade HQ soon. Very exciting. So the Knife Degenerate asked in our community post, any possibility of custom Chaves folders?
Yeah, that's actually, I would love to do that again. But just with my move here to Utah, everything's just been so busy. I think I've only made maybe 5 in the last 2 years. So that's my goal, is to get back into customs and doing more stuff.
So stay tuned, because there will be some in the future, hopefully. But for now, Ramon's got a lot of work on the other parts of life to deal with.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ramon. I know
Thank you,
you're a
George.
busy man, and the fact that you took the time to spend it with us,
Oh, I appreciate
It's
you guys a ton.
a great honor. So if you guys have any more questions for Ramon, you can leave them in the comments of this video, and I can just send him a text and I can get answers for you.
Yep.
But it is an absolute pleasure to at Blade HQ all these Ramon Chavez designed knives. I'm sorry, I can't talk today.
No worries, I can't either.
Yep, this is one of our favorite brands because it's just a great knife. It looks good, it feels good, and you have always been such wonderful business partners for us. And we look forward to many years of business with you in the future.
Me too. Thank you so much. Appreciate
you.
you guys. Appreciate all of you guys too.
All right.
We have a giveaway.
Oh yes, we have a giveaway. Before we do this,
yeah.
we have a giveaway, and we are giving away the slipper chub.
Chub slipper.
And we spoke before this video started, and whoever can answer this trivia question first will win the chub slipper. So, this is the question. If you want to win this, the chub line has 3 names. There is the slipper, the flipper, and what? Slipper, flipper, and what? Let's see, we'll probably have it. OTFer, Noah Lee, right off the bat. Noah Lee, congratulations.
OTFer.
Man, OTFer. What a fun word, the OTFer. When I get one of these, I'm probably going to take it to a laser or something and have them just engrave OTFer right along the right.
I'll laser it for you.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Everybody, thank you for watching. Noah Lee, congratulations on winning the the
Chub slipper.
The chub slipper, not the OTFer. And let us know how you want to reach out to us, over email or over social media. If you message us on Instagram, we can handle it here. But if you send us an email, we have to let customer service know. All right.
And that is the first one of those.
That's the first one?
Yep.
Oh, man. Don't tell the group. They'll come find you.
I know.
Man. So I'll tell you, my dream is that one day this one makes production.
I'm not sure if it will.
It's a big one. That's
Yeah.
a lot of 3V. But man, what a cool knife.
Thank you.
I can see why it's your favorite. Okay, Noah Lee's going to message us on Instagram, and we are good to go. So once again, Ramon, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, everybody, for viewing, and we will see you next time.
That was fun.